We just saw a fascinating clip from your show. What do you got? What do you got for me, Harold?
Man, I that's the first time I've seen it like out of context.
Yes.
And I'm like, it's a ballerina, bro. What you so scared of? It's just a ballerina. It's just a nice little girl in a ballet dress.
That only you can see in a creepy forest.
In a creepy forest. I'm just saying, as I was just looking at it, it made me laugh. I was like, I'm from Brooklyn. Like, what are you scared of? What are you scared of, man?
Well, wait a minute. You've never seen a ballerina just come out of...
back in the day, I used to be that ballerina. So I remember walking through the projects after I went to the Alvin Ailey School.
Uh-huh.
And the first couple of times, I just wouldn't... Like, I put all my clothes back on, but then you're like going to school all the time, and sometimes you're just tired. Mm-hmm. And like, you just get back and you got tights on and you're walking through, and dudes are like, "You all right?" And I'm like, yeah, I know, I got tights. I know. They weren't scared. What happened?
So it's kind of a childhood memory we just brought back right here.
Childhood memory. It made me laugh. That was really funny.
From Brooklyn, New York.
Cypress Hills.
So
crazy.
So what should folks know about From if they are just seeing that clip for the first time? What do you got for me on that?
Okay,
Harold
so
Perrineau?
I got this for you. Look, From it's a horror show, and the horror isn't ballerinas,
of course.
So just everybody should know that. Mm-hmm. So From is about a bunch of folks who are trapped in a town. And when you come across this tree, a down tree in the road, mm-hmm. you are already stuck in the town. All roads lead back to the town.
Yes.
And then at night, you're being hunted by, these monsters. Nobody really knows what the monsters are, but they look like the ballerina, innocuous, really. A milkman, a ballerina, a farmer, mm-hmm. and once they entice you, they get into your home and they tear your guts out.
Are you a horror movie guy?
I am not.
Neither am I.
No,
that's not my first choice.
Not my first choice either. Yeah, no. The thing that I love about this show in particular is that we have all of those elements. So if you're a horror fan, you've got it all there. But mm-hmm. really, it's a suspense thriller. Like, it's about the characters, it's about the people, it's about these folks who are trapped in a desperate situation, and then now how do you deal with it? Mm-hmm. What are you doing? And what I thought was cool about it when we first started doing it, it was just toward the tail end of the pandemic, mm-hmm. when we were all trapped in our house, worried about a monster that was out there that we couldn't figure out, and there was nowhere to go.
Yeah,
that's exactly what this show, and then how people deal with that.
Uh-huh.
Some people are like, look, live like it's the end of, like it's your last day, and other people are like, there are rules, let's follow the rules, mm-hmm. and we'll get through this together. And those dynamics play out in the show. So horror, but it's really, really interesting character.
How old are your kids again now?
So my oldest, Aurora's 28 now.
Okay.
My younger two, Winter's 15. She just turned 15, and Holiday is 10.
Okay. And the reason why I ask is, Mike Hoskins, can you put the poster for From up on the screen here one more time? Because I see this all over town. Okay, so MGM Plus is really pumping this out.
Yeah,
okay? And I see this, and I know you.
Yeah,
and I'm like, and the first time I saw this I'm like, is that Harold?
Yeah.
And then this creepy dude. What do your kids think of that when they must invariably see this billboard all over town, Harold?
Yeah, so my youngest doesn't like to see it. She doesn't like it at all.
Yeah,
she hates it. And my older and middle one, my oldest, she loves horror. So for her, it's great. And so she likes going to see it. And I mean, if you see that and you see the other clip, you might think I'm just afraid of white people. You might think, this dude is scared of all white people. It looks like, but I'm not. I'm not. But my kids love it. My older two love it.
Right. I guess for the youngest, then maybe this could be a gateway to Oz. Like when she checks out your past work every now and then.
Trapped in a horrifying situation.
That's one way to put it.
That they can't get out of.
That's one way to put it. Harold Perrineau here on the Rich Eisen Show. So how did you get started? You mentioned how you were a kid from Brooklyn who went to Alvin Ailey.
I
mean, so how did you get started? What was your deal?
Yeah, I was I had an aunt who went to Long Island University. You know this?
Sure, LIU.
Yeah, LIU. It was in Brooklyn, and she was there, and they had a program at the time that was government funded when those things were still happening, and they had a program for kids to do theater, and so she took me and all of my cousins en masse to go to this like theater program called Of, By, and For, and for me it stuck. Like I got there and it was like, oh yeah, this is it. I'm home. This is the thing I love to do, and so I just kept going. I did that. Then I went to college, this little college in Virginia called Shenandoah Conservatory. I stayed there for a couple of years. I got a little nervous about being there because I was a little worried about a musical theater degree. Anyway, then I got a scholarship at the Alvin Ailey School, so I did the second half of my college year back in New York. I'd come back. There were a bunch of people in Virginia who were saying, "Where are you from?" I'm like, "New York," and they were like, "Wait, you're doing theater in Virginia?" And you're from New York?
Well, that's off.
I mean,
that's way off.
Yeah.
That's way off Broadway.
Yeah. And for me, what was really it was one of the best things to ever happen to me because where I was from in Brooklyn.
Yes.
Broadway was about as far as Virginia. Like it felt that far away. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
And so it actually took me going to Virginia to kind of realize, all the things that were in New York that I hadn't really been paying attention to yet.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so it was actually a great segue for me to get back and get.
What was your first big break then? What was your big break, Harold?
Man, I don't even know what we'd call a big break anymore. Like I remember the first time I was on the Cosby Show, or I was I did every Law and Order that every iteration of Law and Order you can.
What's the worst thing you did on Law and Order?
The worst thing I did, I think the last time I was on Law and Order, I was an old rapist who was in a wheelchair or something.
Oh my God!
I know. It's terrible.
Is that what they put you in Oz for?
No, I got the job because I had done Oz.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So you were on Law and Order while you were doing Oz?
No. So it was the last time I was on Law and Order. But I've been on it a million times. So I would guess my first sort of big break was I did Romeo and Juliet, right?
Yes, we were talking about that before.
Oh, were you? Yeah, with Baz Luhrmann and so that sort of helped when Tom Fontana was casting Oz. They were looking for somebody who was kind of wacky and crazy, and it was the first time there were any dramatic cable shows on television. It was HBO, it wasn't even TV, and so we had the show that takes place in a prison, and all this terrible stuff happens, and there's no break. And so they hired me kind of as the commercial break in between. So I wound up being the narrator in the show because I had to break the action sometimes. And so, because just terrible things happen in prison.
I know. And then the show as well. I mean, your character, Harold Perrineau here on the Rich Eisen Show, one of the few rootable characters on Oz,
right,
where we could root for you. We wanted you to succeed, wanted you to get out, wanted you to survive.
And you see what happens, you still get shanked.
Spoiler alert. I know. Did you ever, when you were shooting Oz, just need a break? Take a minute from some of those scenes?
Yeah. One of the really fantastic things is we had a bunch of really amazing New York actors who were there and really committed to the craft of acting, and mixed with a lot of people who weren't actors. We had actual gang members. We had these guys that were in the really early part of the UFC. They were our stunt guys who were doing all the fighting and stuff like that.
Is that right?
Yeah. There were a bunch of dudes. The Shamrocks came, and they were. If you go back and look, you'll see Frank Shamrock and his brother. They were some of the early guys who were fighting in our thing. Our buddy Gerald, TJ. Gerald would come by and he would do some stunts and fight and stuff like that. Chuck Zito, all these guys that aren't actors, but they were really, really willing to just try crazy stuff. And so, but because we would try such crazy stuff, sometimes you just had to go and let your brain, calm down, because it's just so much aggression.
Because it was on 10 o'clock at night on HBO. Sometimes Susie, who you know my wife.
Yeah.
We would sometimes not watch it live. We'd have to watch it earlier in the night because we couldn't just watch it and go to sleep.
Right. Yeah.
Couldn't. Couldn't. We would just be so stunned by what we saw.
Yeah.
And never would want to. I don't know what it just worked as a program to just make you think. make you pause, make you reviled, and feel terrible about the human condition sometimes.
Right.
And so you couldn't just be like, okay,
right,
good night, good night. Just
exactly.
snap the light off.
Yeah. It's really one of those things that really made you think about prison and reform and what we're actually doing in the country. Are we, is it retribution? Are we reforming people? Are we, what's actually happening there? And you realize that we just haven't really answered that question with prison. And you think prison is like, oh, it's locked away and it doesn't have anything to do with the rest of society, but that's not true. You know what I mean? The people in prison still have contacts outside of prison, and and you start talking about who runs prisons and who goes to prison, and it's just such a big, difficult thing to figure out, and that's what the show actually talks a lot about. It's not just like, it's not as easy as some people think. You do something bad, you go to prison. It's
right.
Like,
I know.
So much more to think about,
and so many the acting, your fellow cast members,
your
fellow cast members,
such great people.
Rita Moreno, Ernie Hudson, who we just saw as well. He's been on this program. Same thing with J.K. Simmons. Everything about his character was not his kind of tempo,
at all. Yeah,
I mean, Schillinger. Oh my God,
terrible character. Yeah.
And then there was you. You know, we were just.
You're right. It was kind of the only, rootable one.
And Rita Moreno, her character as well.
Right.
Rooting for her. You were in a ton of scenes with her. I mean, we're talking about a legend.
Like I said, I'm a musical theater dude. So
that's right.
I remember meeting Rita Moreno.
She had the EGOT way before she did Oz.
I remember we had a closing night party, and I walked into this club, and I was pretty young, and somebody goes, Harold! And I look over, and it's Rita Moreno screaming my name.
In a club?
In a club in New York.
You're like, wow.
What? I was like, we're here.
And you must have watched The Electric Company as a kid, too.
I watched The Electric Company. One of my favorite musicals ever was West Side Story.
Sure.
When she was dating Marlon Brando, I just love Rita Moreno. I don't know what to say. And so, Electric Company.
Did you ask her about Marlon Brando?
I did. I won't tell anybody. I won't tell anybody.
But you did?
Yeah. Bitch. She called my name in a club. That gave me ask away.
And you went there, huh?
Not that night. But
okay.
It felt like we were friends.
Very good. And Harold Perrineau here on the Rich Eisen Show. When you were shooting Lost, did they have any idea where season 2 or anything was going at all?
Look, they were saying all the time that they did, and it turns out maybe they didn't. But they had a lot of ideas. But it was really at the time, they could be so wild. And really, at the end of the day, that's really what the fun of Lost was. They could just write the wildest things and make it all work and be super, super creative. And so, for me, I know lots of people upset with the way it ended and things like that. But for me, it was always the journey. The journey was always this is the thing that's fun. Now, people keep comparing our show from to Lost because we have myself, Jack Bender, who's the director, who's in Lost, Jeff Pinkner. But these guys actually do have an ending. I don't know what the ending is. I purposefully don't know what the ending is. Yeah, I don't want to play anything before I should.
Right.
So I don't know what it is, but I do know that there's a giant place that they're trying to get to, and they really know this is how this ends. So
sitting here in season 2, they know how it ends.
They knew it when they started. Okay, they knew that they were going from here to here. They keep phrasing it look, if you're taking a trip from L.A. to New York, we're going to get to New York. That's where we're going. We might take a detour in Arizona. We might take a little turnaround in Mississippi, but we're going here.
Sure.
And so they know so we do know where it's going. So fans get a little scared because they think Lost kind of left them out.
Right. Well, I just saw you with a hatch and a ballerina.
It's scary.
That's the only thing missing was the smoke monster.
Exactly right.
Pretty much. Right. Harold Perrineau here on the Rich Eisen Show. So last one for you here, Harold, is your bona fides in terms of musical theater and performances have been established. If I'm not mistaken, you have had placed in front of you on your phone a certain musical performance by one of the members of this program that occurred in New York City recently.
Yes, I did.
And that would be TJ Jefferson.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this was his karaoke in New York City.
His karaoke in New York City.
When we were there for the
Gerald
sports
sent it to me.
Gerald sent you
a clip.
The clip is him singing.
Thank you for being my friend, or whatever. The Golden Girls.
Golden Girls theme.
and remixing it. He was singing that, and he threw in some Biggie.
I had to.
He threw in
just
Friends.
like Estelle.
Who's that?
Houdini.
Just like Estelle Getty would have.
Exactly right.
I told you the song was longer than I anticipated, so I had to throw some other stuff in there just to keep the crowd moving.
Yeah. I
so
watched
how would you rate it?
here.
How would you rate it?
Look, I thought it was amazing. I thought it was brilliant. Look. Singing wise, my man.
Yeah, I mean,
all right. But the creativity.
It's the performance, Harold. It's the performance.
Right? You got the crowd rocking.
How can I move the crowd, right?
That's exactly what he did.
If you can sing, you shouldn't be doing karaoke. You should not be doing it.
If only the rest of the human race had that sensibility, we'd all be better off for it.
Yeah. But I put on a show, Rich, is what I did.
Really did.
Well, you know that's what TJ does, is put on a show, sometimes to his own detriment. Because I don't know, we're going to go there. When TJ was on, excuse me, when TJ, I don't know if you're aware, because you're a busy man. TJ was on The Price is Right.
Oh, what?
Oh yes.
TJ?
Yeah.
TJ, how did I not know that about you?
TJ was on The Price.
I don't. I keep things.
Where's your price tag? Where is that? Did it fall off somewhere? Where you got it?
It's over here somewhere.
Okay, his name tag and everything.
For real?
Oh, for real.
I love it.
For real. TJ got up there.
I love it.
And I think try to be too entertaining to focus on the pricing game. Wound up with a ping pong table.
They only give me credit. I made it the whole way to the showcase showdown.
You did?
Right?
And what did you walk away with?
Ping pong table.
Yeah.
And a tax bill.
George laughed. Everyone laughed. It was fun, Harold.
You are entertaining, my friend.
That's what I did.
That's what you do. I love it.
That's
I love
right.
it. I love it here, man. This is it. This whole show is entertaining.
Thank you, sir.
You guys, this is fun.
There it is. That is the. That's it. Does that say it all? Does that say it all? And of course, we have now had our fun for 2+ years. We just removed trips/motorcycles and put anything we want under the word over. With him just like that. Disrespectful, Harold. It's like the greatest meme ever.
You guys got to send me that for my phone as well.
Oh, yes. Send that to Gerald.
I need
as a thanks.
I need to send it to Gerald.
Hey, Harold, real quick. One of your earliest things you did was one of my favorite movies, The King of New York.
Oh, yeah.
So that means you got to work in a scene, one of the best scenes in the movie, where you try to rob Christopher Walken.
Yeah, man.
It doesn't go the way you thought it would, but you still walked away with some cash. So
exactly.
Everyone's got a
job.
Christopher Walken story.
Yeah.
So tell us, Harold, do you
Nice.
one of Frank White?
Look at him.
Look at that.
He's an entertainer.
Everybody.
So do you have a good Christopher Walken story?
My only great Christopher Walken story was just like it's not even a great story, and I don't do a good Christopher Walken, so I won't do any of that. My character is one of the first jobs I had. His name was Thug Leader Number 1. It was a big role. It's a big role, you guys. Relax. And so because I had that character name and I knew it was going to be quick, I just thought he was not going to be interested in doing the scene with me. But he was so there and focused and interested, and like I was like, oh, okay, I gotta. Okay, I'm actually going to get to work with Christopher Walken, and I really did. It was one of my first, jobs, and he really was there to do the work. He actually influenced like the way that I work all the time, because, I've been on sets where guys, they're goofing off, they're not paying attention or whatever. But Walken, straight professionals, so generous, so courteous, and so like, let's get it done. That's my great Walken story.
So there you go.
Yeah.
So it caused you to respect future Thug Leader Number 1.
What's your character name, kid?
It doesn't matter where you are on the call sheet.
It doesn't matter at all.
Now, Thug Leader Number 2, you can do that. At Harold Perrineau on Instagram. Everyone check out new episodes of From Sundays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on MGM Plus, currently in season 2, and you can catch it right here on Roku anytime. It's been too long.
Hey, Rich, it's been too long.
Great
Thank
to
you very
see
much for having me here.
You got it. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.